Hello friends, it is me Carly here, and today I am going to be showing you what I consider the top 10 worst SpongeBob episodes of all time. And if you disagree with me, that's okay because everybody has their own personal opinions. So let's get on with it. Number 10, in Spongiac. The episode starts with Mr. Krabs getting really mad at SpongeBob for putting over the normal amount of mustard on a patty. He says, "At this rate, I'll be broke in 411 years. And, how long do crabs really live? Okay, there we go. So yeah, the episode's just all about SpongeBob being miserable. And it gets to the point where SpongeBob gets so overwhelmed, he starts crying mustard on the patties, and Krabs laughs at that. This is the SpongeBob I watched. And for number 9, we have the episode Dump. The episode starts out with SpongeBob and Patrick playing, and I guess it's like they're best friends. That's a good start, I guess. But then things take a turn for the worst when SpongeBob's pet snail Gary starts to like Patrick more, and that's when the episode became really unpleasant for me. Then suddenly Patrick becomes really mean-spirited, and I just don't like his character derailment. So then Patrick takes full custody of Gary, and he just becomes a mean-spirited jerk. And all throughout the episode, I just wanted to give him a big slap in the face. Definitely the worst part of the episode is SpongeBob's breakdown. It was just very unpleasant. It made me feel really bad for him. But don't worry, guys. Unlike in Spongiac, this episode has a good ending with SpongeBob getting Gary back. But yeah, this episode was just really low. For number 8, we have Seaman Sponge Haters Club from season 13. Now, I don't have that much footage, but just trust me, this is a really bad episode. So basically, the episode's plot is that Mrs. Puff, Squidward, Bubble Bass, the Mailman, and Plankton, they get together to form an I Hate SpongeBob club, and it's just not good at all. I just felt really bad for SpongeBob the whole episode, and I guess Squidward gets his comeuppance in the end when SpongeBob accidentally burns his house down, but still, it was just terrible. Okay, I just hate it. Alright, so for number 7, we have Little Yellow Book from season 9. And you may be thinking, Carly, this is a beautiful title card. To which I would respond, yes, it is, but don't be fooled. This episode is just mean-spirited and not what I would expect from season 9. Okay, so let's get into it. So the episode starts with SpongeBob writing in his diary. So Squidward steals SpongeBob's diary, and he just reads it, and actually he reads it out loud, and it's super humiliating to SpongeBob. So everybody starts laughing at SpongeBob, even his best friend Patrick, and honestly, it's just... Wait a minute. Hold it right there. Is that the chocolate guy from season 3? I know they feature him in a lot of episodes, but this is the same guy. He's laughing at the same guy that sold him lots of chocolate bars. Come on, that is just mean. Okay, how could you do that? Okay, that. But anyways, still, onto the episode. Squidward does get his comeuppance in the end, which I do think is good, but it's not good enough. At the end, he still gets to read SpongeBob's diary, but people are throwing tomatoes at him. But yeah, shouldn't his punishment be, never to read SpongeBob's diary again? That just does not make sense to me. Yeah, he was tied and hated by the whole community, but anyway. And for number 6, we have Choir Boys, which is conveniently from season 6. Normally, I would actually expect, better than episodes like this, but yeah, this is definitely the worst episode of the season. Let's get into it. This episode is just Squidward torture all around. SpongeBob keeps annoying Squidward. There's a scene where, I think, jellyfish sting him. There's lots of gross visuals, and I think it's definitely one of the worst episodes of the series. The episode just drags out, too. I mean, it's just really long and honestly very unpleasant. I mean, I would just fall asleep to this episode. I mean, here's another person who has reviewed this episode, and I can safely say I'm definitely in the majority of people who don't like this episode. For number 5, we have Truth or Square, aka Stuck in the Freezer from season 6. This episode, does have some filler, but I guess the main part is about SpongeBob and his friends being stuck in a freezer. So basically, the filler is about Patchy the Pirate trying to get all these celebrities to celebrate SpongeBob's 10th anniversary, but he just can't. And, I guess that's a good plot, but actually, no, it's not. Here's, a little image I found on the internet. I don't actually know what it is, but anyway. Anyways, the only part of the episode I liked is the Scurvy song by Pink, and I think that's because I like her music. I'm sure a lot of other people. So for number 4, we have Breath of Fresh Squidward from season 5. So, let's get into it. So this episode, I think, is very overrated. So basically, Squidward gets electrocuted, and he's happy afterwards. So, SpongeBob starts feeling jealous of Squidward, and Squidward actually gets Employee of the Month. And I guess the writers think that we're supposed to feel bad for SpongeBob. I don't feel bad for him at all. I mean, I'm just happy for Squidward. But yeah. SpongeBob becomes increasingly jealous of Squidward throughout the episode to the point where Squidward, he has a party at the end of the episode, and SpongeBob just gets really mad at him and he yells at him for it. And I just thought it was really unpleasant. I mean, somebody else actually thought the same thing as I did, but yeah, that's why I don't like it. So for number 3, we have Quarantined Crab from season 12. And I gotta say, this is the most overrated episode in the series. I mean, come on, this is not a good episode. I mean, are you out of your mind? This episode has very unpleasant visuals, and I guess the storyline is a health inspector comes in and claiming the restaurant has clam flu. And he puts the restaurant under quarantine, and they just get increasingly sick throughout the episode. I mean, come on, would you want to see that while watching SpongeBob? It's just very, very unpleasant. I'd go as far as to say this is I just don't like it. It's the worst modern episode. So yeah, on to the next one. So for number 2, I lumped One Course Meal and Rodeo Days together, and let me tell you why. Rodeo Days has so much character derailment of Sandy, and she's just mean to her best friend. And she continually hurts him throughout the song about her saying how excited she is to go to the rodeo, and I guess she's okay. She even rides SpongeBob like a horse, and SpongeBob's worried about her, and even when he has risked everything to see her on the surface, she just gets mad at him and scowls at him. Personally, I just don't like Sandy in this episode, and this person gave a very good explanation of it. One Course Meal is definitely on par with Rodeo Days. I mean, Krabs is really cruel to Plankton for no reason. I mean, to the point where Plankton attempts suicide, I guess. This episode, and Krabs just laughs with glee, and he doesn't even have a reason to hurt Plankton. It's just terrible. There's some charts I read of other people's opinions, but yeah. So here we have a few honorable and one dishonorable mention. So here are the honorable mentions. And yes, I don't like ripped pants that much. But yeah, here's the dishonorable mention. I just hate this episode. So yeah, here's a cute picture of me and my dog. But with that said, let's move on to the worst SpongeBob episode I have ever seen. For number 1, Summer Job. This episode is just terrible. I mean, the title card looks good, but let me just explain why this is the worst SpongeBob episode. First of all, Mrs. Puffs is just treated horribly. She's actually just... This is probably the worst treatment she's ever gotten in the show, and I just don't understand why. But yeah. So SpongeBob fights Mrs. Puffs to give her a note, and it whacks her. She comes flying to the Krusty Krab. Mr. Krabs, he forces her to work for like no pay at all, and I just don't like that. Okay, that is just so cruel of Mr. Krabs. I mean, we're just disregarding Krusty love here, I guess. And the second Mrs. Puffs expresses any frustration, she's arrested. And she's like, yay, that's just 7 years without SpongeBob. I'm sorry, Mrs. Puffs, it's gonna get worse. She has to take driving lessons from SpongeBob the whole time, and I just don't get it. He can't even drive. And it's just, she's forced into her seat, and we just have to watch it. It is so unpleasant. And personally, I consider this the absolute worst SpongeBob episode. And no surprise here, it's season 7. Season 7 is considered the worst season. Yeah, this is what I consider the worst SpongeBob episode of all time. Well, I thank you for braving this journey of letting me explain the top 10 worst SpongeBob episodes in my opinion. I hope I can make more videos like this, and let me know in the comments what your least favorite SpongeBob episode is. Love you!